Hi, I'm going to do, I'm just basically going to read in my blog entry because I did that yesterday for somebody and it actually came across quite well and I thought I'd try that. Okay, right. This is really hard to write about and in fact it's my second attempt because I went off on a wild journey last time I tried. This back post is unlike to see the light of day. A couple of weeks ago I went round a friend's house and took a seat in her kitchen among some of her home friends. One of the first things that happened to me was that somebody said nice skirt, to which of course I made some kind of self-deprecating comment, as one generally does. One intention behind that comment is to put me at my ease, which I appreciated because the situation was a little bit edgy for reasons I don't really want to go into, and it was positive stroke as the jargon has it, and incidentally this is the skirt. Okay, I don't know if you saw that or not because I didn't really see it anyway. Sorry about the stilted nature of this, by the way. Right, so oh, bloody tablets. Okay, most people probably not just. Oh no, that's wrong. But I don't. Sorry, it doesn't matter. When it happens, of course, I appreciate the niceness and positive intentions involved, but it always presents me with a quandary because I don't know whether to return the compliment or not. Particularly when I first meet someone. I'm like everyone else, unclear about how I'm perceived. It varies from person to person in a way it previously didn't, although it did surely vary at least as much as it did in years previously. For some people, I am undoubtedly a bloke in a dress, and they are unclear as to my motives for doing that, and possibly suspicious of them. To others, I'm a trans woman. To others, I'm a woman. To go off on a tangent for a moment, I used to feel I needed a practical excuse to visit people. We might both be in a pressure group, for example, and there could be a need to explain something, to arrange something like a stall or a leaflet drop. So, in spite of the fact that I just wanted to see them because I wanted to see them, I used to go over and find that as an excuse. And I think that distorted my relationship with them, as one person once told me, and I'm sure that's absolutely right. And probably everybody goes through that kind of thing occasionally. Another thing is I might go to a social event or something and not talk very much. And that's because I think, well, they don't want to hear from me, they don't want to talk to me, I'm just going to bore them or annoy them or something. I'm not sort of worthy of that. And so I don't talk sometimes, and that probably comes across to some people as standoffish. And that's not very good. I had a long conversation the other day with somebody who said that they had found me aloof in previous years, or that was the impression that they got of me. And that actually when they came to talk to me, they actually found that I was really friendly and nice person and so forth. And so that was good. But it shows you the kind of impression that you give to people sometimes when you don't really do it properly. Sorry, I'm having a bit of a problem saying this because my tablet keeps going weird. I wish I should have propped it up or something. Previously I was done. Sorry, I'm waffling. I shall carry on. Right. So back to the nice skirt compliment. I have in fact sometimes returned such compliments. I mean, someone once said that she liked my dress, and I said I liked her dress back, and I was being sincere. I did like her dress, and that was breezy. Basically, I was like, "Oh yeah, I like your dress too. It's very nice," and that was fine. But when I do that, there's a little bit of discomfort in my mind, which I feel the need to explain. Say I meet someone for the first time, and she tells me she likes my dress. At that point, I may have no idea how she sees me. Am I a man in a dress to her? In that case, she may be trying to put me at my ease because it might be seen as quite a nerve-wracking thing for me to do. It's not actually. It's perfectly fine. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. And it's certainly, or am I a woman of some kind to her? I mean, maybe sort of recognising that I'm obviously trans, but nevertheless a woman accepted on the same terms as other women. Perhaps, I don't know, I doubt it. In that case, she's probably trying to do the same thing, but the situation is slightly different. And the problem stems from the fact that I don't know what assumptions she's making about specifically my sexual orientation. And I now have to digress again. There's a tendency for people in some situations to think they are more aware of certain motives someone else has hidden from themselves, and this is doubtless often true, and it's true of me as it's his of anybody else. on occasion, and people sometimes correctly call me out on this. Another related phenomenon is for people to look for traumatic past experiences to explain current behaviour and feelings and thoughts, and of course this sometimes happens to me. Janice Raymond's book is a case in point there, and probably for a lot of other people too. Now the reason I mention this is that I'm about to talk about sex. More than anything else, stuff around sex is used to attribute motives, and it also tends to be connected to trauma by others to explain current feelings and behaviour. I'm on this occasion going to ask you to trust me on this when I describe my sexuality, and I'm going to start with an analogy. Suppose someone is, let's say, a gay man. Nowadays it would be considered completely inappropriate to say they were just waiting for the right girl, or that they were really hetero and traumatised by a negative experience of a woman or something. That's insulting, and it fails to respect their sexual identity. Happily, that kind of thing rarely happens nowadays. Unfortunately, the same is not true of asexuality, which is of course my sexuality. There's obviously something I'm not saying here, but even I recognise boundaries occasionally. So the anomaly, some of you will be aware of, is just going to have to stay an anomaly. There is an explanation for it, but I'm not going to go into it. I'm, obviously married with 2 children. I'm not going to explain that. You're just going to have to accept there is an explanation for it. Therefore, when I announce that I'm asexual, people very often tend to assume that it's the result of early trauma of some kind, or perhaps a pessimistic or depressive reaction to my perception of life experiences. It really isn't. And you're just going to have faith in what I'm saying here. It just isn't there for me. Seriously. And that's not because I've repressed it or anything similar to that. I'm treading a very thin line here because obviously there are things that I don't want to say. But when I look at someone attractive, I see them in the same way as I see a flower or a sunset, something like that. I don't have something extra. I presume, and I'm having to sort of put myself in someone else's shoes here when I don't really know, that when somebody sees somebody they're sexually attracted to, there is an extra element there which is not just to do with a stirring in their loins or something. But I don't know. I don't actually see that, you see. Now, this is what I've said, obviously, to justify what I'm about to say. Okay, so go ahead and believe what you like. I've done my best to convince you that that is what my sexuality is like, that I am asexual. You can go off and think your own things, but I know what I know. Right, so getting back to the nice skirt incident again. When I get a compliment like that, I feel the urge to make another one back, and that's where I run into problems because of my ignorance of how the other person perceives me. She thinks I'm a hetero man, or a lesbian maybe, in other words, gynophilic. She may think that a compliment is motivated by sexual attraction rather than aesthetic attraction, in which case it won't be received well, or in the way it was intended at least. Therefore, I usually remain silent on the matter and don't return the compliment. I can guarantee, and you're just going to have to take this on faith, as I said, that there is and can be no sexual attraction for me in that situation, and that there is unlikely ever to be, and that I prefer it that way. What I don't know is how this comes across to people, whether they notice that I don't compliment them back or not. I'm of course aware that of the whole issue of judging people on their appearance in any case, and also that image is to some extent a controlled, deliberate and intentional project, which people pursue to create an impression of some kind. It's very hard to interpret silence, so I'm going to give you a helping hand here. Chances are that I'm not just soaking up the compliment and self-centeredly failing to return it. Then it's much more likely to be restraining myself from complimenting you back. At least you know what's going on now. I don't know what you make of it, and to be truthful, that sometimes really disturbs me. Don't even get me started on a nice tracksuit.